Tom was looking for his old toy car. He climbed up to the attic, where his family kept old things. The attic was dark and full of dust. Tom sneezed as he moved some old boxes. "Where is my car?" he muttered. He opened a wooden chest, hoping to find it inside. Instead, he saw an old, dusty book. The cover was brown and worn, and the title read, "The Adventure Journey." Curious, Tom picked up the book and blew off the dust. He opened the first page and saw a yellowed library card. His eyes widened as he read the date, 1950. Then he saw a familiar name, his grandfather's name. Tom's grandfather had borrowed this book from the town library 75 years ago, and never returned it. "But Grandpa never told me about this," Tom whispered. His heart beat faster. Why did his grandfather keep this book for so long? Holding the book tightly, Tom hurried downstairs. He had to show this to his mom. Maybe she knew the answer. Tom ran downstairs holding the old book tightly. He found his mother in the kitchen, making tea. "Mom, look at this," Tom said, placing the book on the table. His mother wiped her hands and picked up the book. She read the title and then looked at the library card inside. Her eyes widened in surprise. "This was your grandfather's book," she said. "He borrowed it in 1950, but never returned it." Tom nodded. "Did Grandpa ever talk about this book?" His mother smiled softly. "Your grandfather loved reading, especially adventure stories. He used to spend hours with his books when he was young. Maybe he got so lost in the story that he forgot to return it." Tom looked at the book again. The pages were old, but still in good condition. His grandfather must have taken good care of it. "I think I should return it to the library," Tom said. "It was Grandpa's book, but it really belongs there." Maybe he wanted to return it, but never got the chance. His mother nodded. "That's a wonderful idea, Tom. I think he would be proud of you." Tom felt a warm feeling in his heart. He was about to complete something his grandfather had started many years ago. The next morning, Tom walked into the town library, holding the old book carefully. The library was quiet, with tall shelves filled with books. The smell of paper and ink filled the air. He walked up to the front desk, where a kind-looking librarian, Mrs. Jane, was organizing some books. She looked up and smiled. "Hello, young man. How can I help you?" Tom placed the book on the counter. "I think I need to return this," he said. Mrs. Jane adjusted her glasses and picked up the book. She looked at the title, then flipped it open. When she saw the old library card inside, her eyes grew wide. "This book was borrowed in 1950?" she gasped. "And it was never returned?" Tom nodded. "It was my grandfather's book. I found it in our attic. I thought I should bring it back." Mrs. Jane laughed, shaking her head in amazement. "This is incredible. This might be the longest overdue book we've ever received." Tom scratched his head. "Do I have to pay a fine?" he asked nervously. Mrs. Jane chuckled. "Luckily for you, we cancelled all late fees last year. So no, you don't have to pay anything." Tom let out a relieved sigh. Then Mrs. Jane's face lit up with excitement. "You know what? This book is special. It's a part of our library's history. I think we should put it in a special display." "A display?" Tom asked. "Yes. We'll create a small exhibit about this book and its journey. People will love this story." Tom felt a sense of pride. His grandfather's book would now be a part of the library forever. A few days after Tom returned the book, something unexpected happened. A local newspaper wrote a story about it. The headline read, "A book returned after 75 years, a grandson's special gift to the library." Tom's mother showed him the article at breakfast. "Look, Tom, you're in the newspaper." Tom's eyes widened as he read the story. The article talked about how he found the book, how his grandfather had borrowed it in 1950, and how the library planned to put it in a special display. That afternoon, a reporter from the local TV station came to interview Tom and his family. A cameraman set up his equipment in their living room. "Tom, How did you feel when you found the book? The reporter asked. Tom smiled shyly. I was really surprised. I never thought my grandfather had a book from the library for so long. And why did you decide to return it? I just thought. It wasn't ours. It belonged to the library. And I wanted to do the right thing. The reporter nodded. Well, your story has touched many people. It reminds us all of the importance of books and libraries. After the interview aired, people in the community started talking about Tom's story. Some families decided to check their own bookshelves for overdue books. Others visited the library for the first time in years. One day, as Tom walked through town, an elderly man stopped him. "Young man, I saw your story on TV," he said. "It reminded me of how much I loved the library when I was young. I think I'll visit again." Tom felt a warm glow inside. He had never expected his small action to inspire so many people. After everything that happened, Tom found himself visiting the library more often. At first, he just wanted to see his grandfather's book on display. But soon, he started wandering through the shelves, picking up different books. One day, he sat in a cozy corner of the library, flipping through a book about lost cities and hidden treasures. As he read, he felt the same excitement he imagined his grandfather had felt so many years ago. Mrs. Jane walked by and smiled. "Looks like you've caught the reading bug, Tom." Tom grinned. "Yeah, I guess I have. I never knew books could take you on such amazing adventures." From that day on, Tom made it a habit to borrow books regularly. He read about pirates, space explorers, and secret missions. Each story made him feel closer to his grandfather, as if they were sharing an adventure across time. One weekend, Tom helped Mrs. Jane at the library's reading event for young kids. He sat in front of a group of children, holding up a book. "This was my grandfather's favorite kind of story," he told them, "and now I want to share it with you." As he read aloud, he saw the kids' eyes fill with wonder, just like his had. At that moment, Tom realized something important. His grandfather's love for reading had passed down to him, and now he could pass it on to others. Books weren't just stories. They were a bridge between the past, the present, and the future. And thanks to one lost book, Tom had found a lifelong love for reading.